Hey, this is Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about an expansion that I recently played of one of my favorite games, and that is the Rise of Ix expansion for Dune Imperium, which I finally got after waiting longer than I should have waited to get an expansion for one of my favorite games. And today, for our expansion videos, the expansion videos that I make, I usually go through and talk about the mechanisms that are added to the game or the components that are added. So let's do that using the rulebook, and I'll share my opinions on each of these different things. So in many ways, it is a more stuff expansion, which I like, but it's a more stuff plus some other stuff expansion. The more stuff you get some more leaders. You get 6 new leaders. Small comment about that. And this is maybe like the one very, very tiny gripe that I have at all. And this is not really even a gripe at that. But I really like when expansions that add new like factions or leaders, when they add enough for each, especially if it's a game where each player gets like 2 and they get to pick one, which I'm not even sure is the official rule in Dune Imperium. That's just how I play Dune Imperium. I like that if there's enough for the maximum player count to for each player to get 2 of the things, then they can choose. So I would say that's the one like very minor thing I would say about this, that it would have been nice for them to include either 4 leaders and just give each player 1 and then 1 leader from the base game to choose one of those 2, or 8 so each player can get 2 new ones the first time they play or the first few new times they play and choose one of them. You get new intrigue cards. I love the intrigue cards. There's the sneaky cards here. You get new Imperium deck cards, which are great. And you even get new conflict cards, which I thought was an excellent addition as well. There are some new additions here that I'll talk about. And let's see if there's anything else about those cards. Yeah, there's something about those cards that I'll mention in a second. But first, let's talk about the tech tiles. So there are some board overlays that you put over the board that cover up previous board spots. And one of them, actually, this tech tile board is separate from that. There's a different board that you'll add on top of the board. But for the tech tiles, this is a separate board. Let me see if I can pull it out here while I'm talking about it. Yeah, here we go. So it's this board right here. And at the beginning of the game, you put 3 stacks, 6 tiles each of tech tiles on here. And these are 2 new action spaces that you can choose to visit. And there's a couple things you can see these action spaces that are new. One, you can get these tech tiles. So it's another way of giving you a sense of progression in the game. You get this tech tile and it gives you an ability that you can use either once per round or just at different times throughout the rest of the game. And that's pretty cool. The tech tiles, I think I got 1 tech tile in the game. I thought it was useful. I like the sense of progression. I didn't go heavily after it, but even just a little bit changes your game a little bit. It's like another faction ability or another house ability in Dune Imperium. Also, this shows off the new Dreadnought units in the game. These are really, really cool. For a specific reason. They are units that are worth 3 power in combat, or whatever the military unit is in this game. And yeah, here's the rules on Dreadnoughts. And the most notable thing about Dreadnoughts in the game, in my opinion, are that if you lose combat with a Dreadnought, the Dreadnought does not die. Instead, it goes back to your garrison. So if you've gone all in on a certain combat, or if you've gone heavy into a certain combat, with one of the Dreadnoughts as one of the units, it's treated as a normal unit, essentially, except that it's worth more, and you lose, it doesn't feel as bad because that unit goes back to your garrison. Their stakes are still pretty high because you didn't win and you probably lost some normal units too, but it goes back to your garrison, you still have it. If you win combat, that Dreadnought is essentially temporarily removed from being in combat in the next round because it goes to control a space of your choice on the board, which I think is also clever. If you've had an overpowered combat due to your Dreadnought, for at least 1 round, you need to go, that Dreadnought is focused elsewhere. It doesn't help you in the next combat. I thought that was really clever. One of my favorite new additions to the game, just a clever little thing, is this icon right here, which shows up at the bottom of many cards in the game, including, for example, this card right here. What that says is, if at any time this card, a card that has this icon, is either discarded or trashed, gain this benefit, the benefit that's shown next to it. And in fact, maybe many or all of these benefits are at the bottom of the card. And so they are also still reveal turn benefits, regardless of whether or not you've discarded or trashed that card. I think that's great. I love in deck building games when the cards have those additional extra abilities. When you're choosing, like, which card do I discard right now? Which card do I trash? This is the card that you do that with because it gives you a special benefit if you discard or trash it. Really like that. What else have I not talked about here? Yes. Oh, yeah. One of my other favorite parts of the game, I skipped over this page, is the shipping track. This is a really cool mechanism here. I really like this. I'd love to see this in other games too. So there's this new shipping track right here, and this is the board overlay I was talking about. So a few actions on the board are consolidated here, so they're actually cut off. So, and instead, you have these other two actions right here. So this is actually a really clever thing in addition about this expansion. It adds these two new boards, but it doesn't actually increase the number of actions in the game because some of them are removed from this part of the board or this part over here. These two kind of make up for those that were taken away. And then there are two other ones that were taken away that were previously related to this icon, and they go on this board now. So that's, I thought, was really, really clever that they didn't actually add more actions to the board. They decided this action economy is correct. We need to consolidate some actions in adding these new mechanisms. And they include this shipping track. Each player starts with a token at the base of the shipping track. And whenever you gain this icon, which is typically on these two actions shown here, but not always, there are other ways to get it, you get to move up a token on this track, or you can choose the current position of your token on this track, move the token all the way down to the bottom, and gain all of the benefits over here from based on where that token was. So if the token was right here, you would gain this benefit and one of these two benefits down here in any order that you want. So you're either moving up one space or you're moving down all the way to the bottom, gaining all the benefits on the way. And that feels really good. It's a nice, like, repeating track here. And there's a little bit of tension to it, too. Like, how long do you wait before going back down? Do you wait to get to the top, or do you want to move up a little bit, gain that benefit right away? Just a really cool new kind of style of track that I haven't seen before, in addition to the victory point track that the game has, in addition to the influence tracks that the game already has. Really cool track. I like the idea of a repeating track, because oftentimes when you have a track like this, you're constantly trying to get farther and farther to the end. This has just a really nice tension to it. I want to use this in a game. I really like that. And it does add one other tiny thing. I was not aware of this, but in reading some strategy about Rise of Ix, I've learned that many players who play Dune Imperium don't often choose the spacing guild to influence because maybe players don't like the fold space card. I kind of like the fold space card, so I've gone after it a couple times. But because apparently not many players do that strategy, the game now gives you an incentive to go after that track by requiring two influence to use this action. And I thought this was really clever. Rather than modifying the spacing guild track, the influence track and those benefits, they instead give players a kind of a gated benefit based on that track. And this is something I talked about recently in the Arc Nova video, that one style of progression and upgrades in games is to increase your access to things. And so simply by saying you don't have access to this special thing yet, but if you move up on this track that was a little underused, now you do get access to this new special action. I thought that was pretty cool. Let me see if I'm missing anything else. Oh yeah, the infiltrators. I didn't talk about that. One last, like, there's so many little sneaky clever things in this game. Yeah, so Infiltration down here. Infiltration. There's this new icon that you can see. It looks like this. It looks like half of a unit, half of an agent over here, where it'll show up on cards like this. And this little sneaky guy who's sneaking into the frame of this icon, what that represents is your ability that if you choose this type of location to place your agent when playing a card, you can put it on that location even if another player already has a unit there. Or I believe even if you have a unit there. Yeah, no matter whose unit is there, you can put your unit there as well. Another little sneaky thing, thematically it fits really well, and it's just a really clever little addition to this game, this expansion. I haven't tried the game, so I've just literally played it yesterday for the first time, 4 players. So I haven't played it solo. I haven't played it 2-player yet. I haven't also played Epic Mode, which lets players play, I believe, to 12 victory points instead of 10. As much as I love Dune Imperium, I have never played a game of Dune Imperium and thought, I want this game to be longer. And so I don't know if I'll be playing Epic Mode, but maybe I should try it once to see if it really does feel more epic. But I think that's interesting that maybe they heard some feedback from players saying they wish there was a little bit more. They wanted to spend a little bit more time with the game. I haven't ever thought that, but I can see, you know, they add that mode for those who want it. Yeah, those are my thoughts about the expansion. Just all the new clever mechanisms here that go into this brilliant deck building game. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you've enjoyed it at different player counts, which mechanisms in it you really love and would like to see in other games, let me know in the comments below. Thanks.